Welcome to Comics Bazaar, the channel of comics commentary and arcana. This video features Marvel Comics Presents Wolverine, issue number 86, and this is from 1991. So the cover is by Sam Kieth, and it features Wolverine Vs Cyber, and it's a really interesting cover. That lime green background certainly is striking, and in the foreground we have our protagonist and our antagonist, and they are in battle. But what's really striking here is the character and aesthetic of Sam Kieth's figure drawing, which is quite cartoony on the one hand, and then on the other hand there's all this fine detail, hatching, cross-hatching for the musculature of Wolverine's arm there, and also the hairs on the arm too, and he's using both ink and white media in order to get the effects that he's looking for. And then of course another designy feature of the cover is the ripped cloth of Wolverine's costume, and we see there the threads that are hanging loose and the spirals that the threads are making too, as Cyber has ripped through Wolverine's costume. And it's really interesting stuff. Also we can see that Cyber there has spikes coming out of his flesh as well, with the blood spurting too. So it's dynamic, it's interesting to look at. The colors, including that lime green background, it's intriguing, an intriguing cover indeed, and one that sells the book. So let's open it up to the credits page, and here on the left we have the credit for the story that I'm interested in, which is the Blood Hungry storyline. The title of this particular chapter, part 2 of 8, is 2 cents, and the blurb is: last issue we were introduced to a new menace to the city of Madripoor, Cyber, but what are his plans and what is his connection to Wolverine? So that's a bit of a mystery currently. Creative credits: writer Peter David, artist Sam Kieth, so he's doing pencils and inks, letterer Clem Robbins, and a long-time X-Men colorist Glynis Oliver rounds out the creative team. So here we've got an interesting first page with the story title and the chapter title and these sound effects as Wolverine uses his adamantium claws to scale a wall, and an intriguing device here where we have this frame around this close-up on his face as he smiles to himself, and we have his first-person narration. Now usually Wolverine's first-person narration has a yellow background, but here it's that lime green. I always knew if I stayed in Madripoor long enough, I'd end up climbing the walls. Fortunately, adamantium claws and a basic lack of fear and common sense facilitate matters. So up the wall he goes, but where is he off to? But before I turn the page, because there's only 8 pages of story in this particular chapter, let's look at all the detail here, fine detail, and it is reproducing well on the newsprint, at least on this page. When I turn the page, you're going to see one of the, faults, potential faults, or fall downs of printing on newspaper from the era, and that is that sometimes you get all the fine detail, as you can see here, and then on the next page you'll see that some of that fine detail is very much lost, depending on how the page printed. But back into the story, we get a nice shot here of General Koi's mountaintop fortress. So lots and lots of work there, lots and lots of details. We've got the guards here, bored in the background. We've got some woman there sunbathing. We've got this guy resting over his machine gun. And somebody, not in the particular panel, says, General Koi, that certain gentleman representing those certain men is here. So Koi asks from behind his desk, are you certain? Yes, sir. Then send him in. And here we see the goat's heads that Sam Kieth used in the, looks like, are they goat's heads or horses? Those might be horses' skulls, actually. So, like there's a kind of a motif of skulls running through this particular chapter. And I wonder, was he looking at actual skulls, or what is it that inspired him to do that? I'd be very surprised if it was in Peter David's script. It seems to be something that Sam Kieth is adding himself for the sake of visual interest, and visually interesting indeed the skulls are. So Koi says send him in, and here he is standing in the doorway. Huge figure, broad brimmed hat, and a long green trench coat. And here again we see him kind of more in profile, 3/4 profile. And yeah, it's curious. We're not getting a good look at this character just yet. So there's a bit of back and forth here, kind of punning. It is a Peter David script. And the figure in silhouette says, I represent men who... And then his attention is switched. Wait, I sense something. So we're not getting a good look at his face, but we see his kind of smile there. And then we're back with Wolverine. So he's scaling the wall and he's thinking back himself. I think of all the things I could be doing tonight, and somehow hanging outside of General Koi's isn't high up there. So that's the wall he's scaling. I, however, am high up there thanks to the rather quiet insistence of Tiger. So we saw him visiting her at night in the previous chapter, and she wants him to do her a favor. Logan, would you do anything I ask? Depends, he says. Very interesting layout in this particular part of the page. Curious idiosyncratic layouts and panel design from Sam Kieth, which keeps things very visually interesting. So she says here, you can't answer that question with another question. Either you will or you won't. You're right, he says. I am, she replies. Yeah, he says. Either I will or I won't. Kind of makes you wonder where this conversation is heading, and why do I have the feeling that I'm going to be seeing some action tonight, and it's not the sort I had in mind. And so there he is back in the present. We've got these little bubbles leading to him as he enters in a window at the side of Koi's fortress, and then utters the phrase, women can't live with them. Turn the page, and then he continues surreptitiously. According to Tiger, Koi is expecting a visitor tonight. He's getting one more than he bargained for. So he's making his way quietly around the interior of General Koi's fortress, and there's a couple of security guards going by. There's this little business with the cat there on the rattan chair that meows, and then Wolverine tells it to shush. I like that little detail. The guards are going by. It's a Peter David comic, so he's going to make a reference to a TV series he's watching, the BBC TV comedy sci-fi series. What's it called again? Oh, don't tell me, I'm going to blank on the name. Red Dwarf. So that's what he's playing around with here. These two guards, he gives them the name of characters, Rimmer and Lister from Red Dwarf. So either you get that or you don't get it. Wolverine, meanwhile, continues on his way. And in General Koi's office, Cyber explains, I have certain psionic powers that you wouldn't understand, General, primarily because the explanation would require words of 2 syllables or more. Suffice it to say, they've picked up some rather intriguing brain patterns of a man I thought I'd left for dead. So Cyber really doesn't care about insulting General Koi. He's super confident in himself. He doesn't think anybody can do him any danger in Koi's fortress. And he removes that trench coat, and now we get a good look at his costume, which is a bit like a wrestler's in many ways. And so Wolverine is coming right up to the door to General Koi's office, and there's this guy outside, this big burly guy guarding it. Trust Koi to have an office without a window, so he can't come in through a window. Blasted inconsiderate, makes it tougher to spy on him. So he's got a ploy. He flicks a coin over to the toe of this guy's boot. The guy's baffled. He asks where'd that come from. Pock, same place this did. So now there's a sight, a scent, familiar, but the air is so thick with cigar smoke, not to mention tension, that I'm having trouble locking it down. Smells like... So he's kind of smelling through the boards of the door, listening to... Let's see what happens. Excellent. Trouble. So Cyber's massive hand smashes through the wooden door, grabs Wolverine by the throat, and then he follows bodily out through that door as well. Look at all the detail here, the splinters of the wood timbers of the door. And Cyber says he's in kind of thoughtful mode, actually. It seems the exterminators have been lax and there's a rat crawling the premises. So no exclamation mark. The guy is completely calm. So it is you. And he's got a smile on the side of his face. I thought you were dead. Odd. You don't look dead. Interesting here, Sam Kieth hasn't redrawn the second and third panels. Instead, it looks like he's Xeroxed them and enlarged them once, twice, in order to get this particular zoom in effect. I hate being wrong, says Cyber, and he throws Wolverine onto the floor, and Wolverine recognizes him, Cyber. So these two have a history, but we don't yet know what it is. Interesting layouts again on this particular page. Intriguing decision also by Sam Kieth to leave the background blank. So this, in effect, is kind of like our moment from the cover where Wolverine is launching himself at Cyber. Cyber, finally. You don't know how many years I've waited for this. And look at the difference between the way that they're relating to each other. Wolverine is enraged. There are the exclamation points, the jagged speech balloons, but Cyber's completely calm and has that big smile on his face. Yes, I do, he says. Use of a screen tone there as well for the shadow on Cyber's, the front of his costume and body. I was there when you tried to kill me last time, he says, as the claws or needles on the tip of his fingers emerge, and you were no more successful than this time. So he slashes Wolverine in the guts, opening the costume there, tearing the costume. Really, this is our cover scene, I would say. Last page now, because we only get 8 pages per chapter. Let's see how well your healing factor works, he says, when I strangle you with your lower intestines. So Wolverine, he is bleeding on the floor. At the end of the corridor is a window, and he races towards it. Now, why are you running away, says Cyber. Could it be you're afraid of me, or do you too? Or are you too? Just being coy. Call back to a joke he made earlier. So Wolverine launches himself back first out the window, and he's gone down the mountainside. There's blood all over the floor, says someone behind Cyber. What happened here? And then the camera angle pulls in to Cyber, and he says, someone bled. Very simply. To be continued. So, you know, for readers, what's the cliffhanger here? Like, is Wolverine badly injured? We know that Cyber's, the tips of those needles on his fingers are poisoned. So Wolverine has a healing factor. He probably is going to be able to deal with that. But we'll see what happens to him in the next installment of this particular storyline. Now, on the back inside cover, there is a black and white unused cover, and it's worth taking a look at here because it's also by Sam Kieth. A bonus for our readers, an unpublished Weapon X cover rendered by blood-hungry artist Sam Kieth. So you can see all of the detail, all of the fine hatching and cross-hatching in Sam Kieth's image. And you can also see that he's pretty influenced by Barry Windsor Smith here. Intriguing to see that. So much detail. Love all the bubbles, Logan upside down in the flotation tank when being experimented on in the Weapon X program. Really good. And you can see Sam Kieth signing his own signature there using maybe whiteout or something like that. Yeah, that's a nice image there to give us as a bonus feature in this particular comic. So I do hope that you enjoyed this review and commentary on Marvel Comics Presents Wolverine, issue number 86, part 2 of an 8-part storyline. Let me know your thoughts on this one in the comments section. If you enjoyed my review and commentary, please like and share the video. It really does help the channel. And if you haven't done so already, subscribe to the channel and stay tuned for more content like this.